Turn on your tap. Clean water on demand, tested, regulated, arriving through pipes you never think about. Now look at the Tiber River running through the middle of Rome. Sewage, animal waste, dye runoff from tanneries, all of it flowing right past the city that a million people called home. That river was not what kept Rome alive. Something else did, and the man who ran it left behind a document so detailed it reads less like ancient history and more like a modern government audit. Here's the promise. Rome built one of the greatest water systems in human history, centuries before anyone else came close. But the twist is that the wealthiest Romans were quietly stealing from it, and it took a government whistleblower, a real named official, to catch them in the act. Let's start with where the clean water actually came from. Rome didn't drink from the Tiber. It drank from mountains, sometimes 50 miles away. The first major aqueduct, the Aqua Appia, was completed in 312 BC, and Rome kept building more for the next 500 years. 11 major aqueducts in total, carrying water almost entirely by gravity, through underground channels, over arched bridges where the ground dipped, engineered with a slope precise enough to keep water moving steadily across dozens of miles without pumps. At its peak, this system is estimated to have delivered somewhere around 1 million cubic meters of water into the city per day, enough by some modern comparisons to rival the water supply of a major city today, for a population using none of the tools you'd assume were required to move that much water that far. You didn't need money to drink clean water in Rome. You needed a bucket. Aqueduct water-fed public fountains, called lacus, scattered through every district of the city. Street corner basins running continuously, free to anyone who showed up. Private plumbing into your own home was a paid privilege, reserved for the wealthy who could afford a permit and a pipe connection. But the baseline, the public fountain on the corner, was available to a slave, a laborer, or a sender, with no distinction between them. Roman water law, as it survives in later legal texts, actually prioritized these public delivery points during shortages. Public fountains and public baths were required to keep flowing before a single private household tap. On paper, the system was built to protect the ordinary citizen first. The water itself, though, came with a catch nobody at the time fully understood. Water inside the city was distributed through pipes called fistulae, cast from lead, standardized into fixed sizes regulated by law, so a given pipe delivered a known, taxable amount of water. In 2014, researchers led by Ugo Delidi published a study analyzing sediment layers from the ancient Tiber and Roman harbor at Ostia, finding lead levels roughly 100 times higher than the region's natural background level, tracing directly back to the city's distribution network. The water in Rome's pipes was almost never sitting still. Constant flow limited how much lead actually leached in, and mineral deposits inside the pipes built up their own protective coating over time. It likely wasn't a poison strong enough to be obviously deadly, but it was there in the water of the most advanced plumbing system on Earth for 500 years. Around 97 AD, a Roman official named Sextus Julius Frontinus was appointed water commissioner of Rome, and what he found wasn't an engineering problem, it was theft. Frontinus wrote a detailed report, De Aqueductu, documenting exactly how much water each aqueduct was supposed to carry, how much actually arrived, and where the difference was going. His answer: a quarry, the workers who maintained the pipes, were being bribed by wealthy homeowners to illegally tap into the public supply, running unauthorized private lines that quietly drained water meant for the city's public fountains. Frontinus's report reads like a modern corruption audit, named leak points, estimated volumes stolen, specific recommendations for enforcement. The legal protection guaranteeing ordinary citizens their water first only worked if nobody upstream was secretly siphoning it off before it arrived. For years, the answer was, someone was. Here's where it turns. The law said the poorest Roman at the public fountain had priority over the richest Roman's private bath. In practice, the richest Romans simply bought their way around that law, one bribed pipe fitter at a time, until an appointed civil servant produced hard numbers and forced the theft into daylight. Clean water in Rome wasn't just an engineering achievement, it was a legal right that had to be actively defended against the people wealthy enough to think it didn't apply to them. You'll turn on a tap today and never think about where the water came from, or whether anyone upstream is quietly taking more than their share. In Rome, that question had an actual name attached to the answer, a title, and a written report that survives 2,000 years later. The aqueducts brought the water 50 miles by gravity alone. Frontinus's audit is the reason any of it reached the people it was built for in the first place.